Hi there, it's Jodi. Welcome to episode 27 of Tuesday Tips. Today I'm going to show you how to use our big background stamps. This is one I'm going to use. It's called Rays of Light. You can see it takes my whole hand to hold this one. You do need the acrylic block F. It's a big, giant stamp. And I want to show you how I use that on my latest card, and also point out in our annual catalog on pages 116 and 117, this is where you'll see all of those big, giant background images that we have. And there's just such variety of projects that you can do with them. They're really a lot of fun. If you haven't had a chance to play with them, I would encourage you to get one and give it a try. So today we're going to start with some basic white cardstock. This is 5 1/4 by 4 inches, and my big giant Rays of Light image. So I'm going to set this rubber side up, and I'm going to take one of our new ink colors called Orchid Oasis. I'm going to open this ink pad and I'm going to ink up my stamp this way. I could take it in my hand and try to move it across the ink pad, but when it's such a big image like this, I just find it way easier to ink it up this way. So that is my first tip when using a background image, is to set it rubber side up and tap the ink on. Next tip, I'm going to set my cardstock on the background image. Scoot it over just a bit on my scrap paper. I'm going to take the scrap paper and actually fold it over. That way I can rub on here and get a good, even, solid image on that piece of basic white. It's hard if I was to take that image and try to press down and get it to be consistent and solid, just because it's such a big block to hold on to. So by doing this, I can press gently all around, make sure that it's even, and I don't get my hands all inky from the extra ink around the edges. So now I just carefully lift that off, and I have my Rays of Light image. Now what I did on this project is I took a couple colors, Fresh Freesia and another new in color, Tahitian Tide, and I'm using our blending brushes. These are great, great tools for blending ink. So I'm going to start with Tahitian Tide and just rub it across the ink pad. And then I'm going to just go right in the center of this burst. It's definitely something that you build. You can decide how dark you want the ink. The more you go over it, the darker it's going to get. So I'm just working it out in a circle from that center. Like I said, if I wanted to keep adding color, I certainly could do that. I'm gonna go with what we have here. So then I brush my Fresh Freesia, and I'm going to go out in a bigger circle, and I can kind of overlap a little bit. It'll just blend those colors together. If I tap like this, I kind of get a little bit of a darker, as opposed to just brushing back and forth. You can play with it. It's gonna look kind of different every time, depending on the pressure you use, how much ink you add, but it's just a fun way to add a whole nother dimension to these background images. I certainly could have just left it how I had it with the Orchid Oasis on the white. You could even stamp tone on tone. So I could do Orchid Oasis ink on Orchid Oasis cardstock if I wanted it to be a little more subtle. Anything you want to do is totally, totally fine. Okay, so again, you just keep adding as much color as you want to. My next step is going to be to add this. These, by the way, rinse under the faucet. The ink will run off, and you can use them on different colors. They're lots of fun, super easy to use. So I'm going to put some adhesive on the back of this layer and mount it on my Fresh Freesia card base. Stick it right on there like that. And now I have something to show you. This, let me pull the catalog back in if I can move my stuff here. On page 139 in the catalog, down here, it's the Lovely Layers Vellum. And there are some fun little pieces of vellum in that package. So I'll just show them to you really quickly. You've got some printed patterns, and then you've got lots of pieces that are just nice smaller pieces of vellum. They're a little bit flimsier than the vellum cardstock that we have, and I like that because it's perfect for the layer that I'm going to add to this card. So it doesn't need to be a super firm cardstock consistency or thickness there. So I'm just going to cut that in half, so it's at 2.5 inches. And then I'm going to put some adhesive right here in the center and attach my vellum. It just kind of mutes what's underneath a little bit. And then I have a circle from Tahitian Tide that I die cut in advance. And we're going to put that right over the center. And then the last thing is this sweet little sentiment. And this is from a bundle called Charming Sentiments. It's right here on page 38. It's got words and then dies that cut out the words, which is super handy. So I'm going to take some of our mini Stampin' Dimensionals. I like the smaller size dimensionals for little projects, little elements of the projects, I should say. And just peel off the backing on those. Did I get it? Yep. And then I'll just add that right here. And this is stamped with basic gray ink. So there it is, this big giant rays of light image, that big giant stamp on the background here, added some sponged ink, and then some vellum and a focal point. So that's what I have for you today. I'd love to have you give a try, just being creative with these background images. There's a lot of fun and just so much that you can do with them. So I look forward to seeing what you create. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.